Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to be playing one of the oldest modern decks in existence, and that's going to be Burn. So Burn is one of those decks that's been around for basically a million years, ever since the inception of Modern as a format. And it's still good, even though it really hasn't changed in the last forever. The idea here is that you have 12 creatures in this deck. There's going to be 4 Goblin Guides, 4 Monastery Swift Spears, and 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel. A lot of people have talked in the past about putting rags in this deck. Please don't do that to yourself. The idea is there, the card in practice is just kind of not. Everything else that's not a creature in this is designed to take your opponent down from 20 to 0, and that's exactly what this deck wants to do. You have things like Lightning Bolt, Rift Bolt, you have Lightning Helix, Boros Charm, which 4 mana for 2 damage is incredible. 4 damage for 2 mana, there we go, is incredibly good. And this deck is just efficient. You get to play 4x Searing Blaze in the main, which if you have landfall is 3 to a creature and 3 to your opponent's dome. All of those are super nice things to be doing. And as long as your opponent's not really doing anything because they're dead, your goal is accomplished. Our sideboard here is pretty simple stuff. We've got Sanctifier and Vec, which is good in all kinds of scenarios, right? Like it helps against Murktide since they play cards like Rags and Darcy, and Pro Red is pretty sweet. You get to get rid of things like the Archon of Cruelties for any of the persist lists. There's all kinds of good stuff like Rakdos Scam that Sanctifier and Vec is just incredibly good against. You have cards like Path to Exile, which help solve Murktide region itself, but also just a whole bunch of other creatures, right? Like there's Hammer Time, when those things get outside of burn ranges fairly often. You have infinite pro-red creatures that live in the format. Lots of reasons where you actually want to be playing Path to Exile. Granted, Path to Exile still sucks, but it's the best option that you have as a burn deck. We've got 3 copies of Leyline of Sanctity, and the normal lists are not playing Leyline. They're usually playing Deflecting Palm in this spot. I'm choosing to play Leyline in hopes to dodge things like Archon of Cruelty triggers out of the Indomitable Creativity decks, and I'm hoping to dodge all of the Thought Seizes and Griefs out of the Rakdos Scam decks, which is why I'm choosing this instead of Deflecting Palm. If instead you want to aim for, I guess, the top of the meta that has Hammer Time in Murktide Regent, that's where cards like the Deflecting Palms do get a little better, which is of course why they're in the stock lists now. We've got Wear and Tear and Smash the Smithereens. Smash the Smithereens primarily has Hammer Time's name all over it, but it does hit Chalice of the Void, which is pretty nice. And I'm also playing Wear and Tear on top of that for a few reasons. First and foremost, opponents can be playing cards like Leyline of Sanctity, and we just don't want to be dealing with that shit. But also in a good huge point to make in Modern is that Urza Saga is an enchantment, and of course everything Urza Sagas get, those things are all artifacts, so one card to solve all of those problems in one, pretty sweet stuff. And then the last thing here is going to be Royal Link Vortex, which does a couple of great things for burn. First, if your opponent plays a spell and they didn't pay mana for it, they take 5. That's a lot of damage. 5 is insane. But also the fact that you get to just upkeep, deal 1 damage to him every turn, super good stuff. So that's going to be the burn deck. This has really been the same package that's been in existence for more than a decade now. Let's see how it performs today. I'll see y'all in round 1. Today's video brought to you by FusionGamingOnline.com, your one-stop shop for all your gaming needs. All right, welcome to round 1. We are on the play. That's really exciting all the time, but especially so with this deck. So hopefully that means we're off to a good start as far as this league goes. That is not what that means. This hand is ass, and we're playing against Kahira. Neither of these are the things we wanted to see, but this is pretty good. So I'm going to keep this, and we're going to put this basic mountain on the back here. So I'm going to have possibly the least exciting start against them ever. Turn 1 Lava Spike. So there's absolutely no secret as to what I'm playing, but we do get to follow it up with a Eidolon of the Great Revel on the play, which is really exciting. Okay, so they're going to go to 17, and we're going to see what they do here. Opponent typed AA in the chat, so I have no idea what that means. Unless maybe they think I'm an alcoholic for playing Burn. I doubt it. Okay, so they're going to go down to 16 here. Now let's see what they do with this Scalding Tarn. They're just going to get a Jeskai Triumph and pass back to me. So I get to go ahead and shock here, and we're just going to make a really easy Eidolon at a Great Revel play. So if they Solitude this, then so be it. But most other starts make me really happy that I get to have this Eidolon on the play. They could also get, yeah, I was gonna say, they could also get Zagoth Triumph and then use that to Leyline Binding. But let's attack for 2 first. And they do in fact have a Solitude. Okay, what'd they get rid of? A Supreme Verdict. Okay, unfortunate, happens. So now that we're post-combat, we're going to suspend the Rift Bolt and Lava Spike their face, take them down to 12. And this means that with the 2 Lightning Bolts in the Rift Bolt that's coming at their face, we, in theory, only need to find 1 more spell. In theory. Hopefully this is not a Chalice on 1. Please don't do that, opponent. That would not be very nice. All right, good. So now we're going to go ahead and take this off of Suspend here and point it at their face, take them down to 8. And this is a counterspell, looks like? It is. Okay. And a Sacred Foundry is not the spell I was looking for, so I'm actually just going to start pointing things here and then worry about 5 more life later down the road. But now we are to the point where we're kind of out of gas, so it's really our job to find more things and cross our fingers from here. A Lava Spike is a nice find, but they have mana up, so I'm not going to just Lava Spike them until I see other spells or until they tap mana. What's this? Oh, Wandering Emperor, okay. So they get to make a soldier here, which is fine, or a samurai. And I'm not really going to do anything about this. They have a second samurai, which is all well and good. So we're going to take 2, go to 18. And this is where having to mulligan in a deck like Burn can really hurt, right? Because here, even if I draw a creature, that's not good. I am going to play the Arid Mesa, though. That does 2 things for me. If I end up just drawing into a Searing Blaze, then I can use this for landfall, but I don't have to. Oh, is that a Solitude? I don't think I'm beating a lifelinker with just this Lava Spike here. I'll pack it up. So against control, I want Roiling Vortexes. It stops life gain and it punishes them for playing free spells, and that's kind of the exact 2 things I want out of life. And I'm also going to put in the Wear and Tears. Yes. I'm going to play around Chalice of the Void with the Wear and Tears, but I'm going to do these rather than the Smash of Smithereens on the very, very off chance that they have Leyline of Sanctity. I'm going to take out the Searing Blazes because even though we saw the Solitudes in the Wandering Emperor, Searing Blaze is still useless like 90% of the time. I still want a creature. This is very, very borderline. I don't think this is a keep. This is honestly infinitely better. So I'm going to keep this and put back the Lightning Helix. The 2 mana gain life spell is the one that is easily the most useless against them. So let's lead off with our Goblin Guide and see what happens here. They showed me Solitude, okay. And it's a Triumph. So are they going to get rid of Goblin Guide on my next turn? And if so, I'll get to hopefully resolve this Eidolon. I kind of wish I had a Roiling Vortex here so that on the off chance that they had to, you know, cast the Solitude, it punishes them for doing so, right? They got rid of Teferi. Okay. Okay, so this is something that we knew was going to happen. So good night, sweet Goblin Guide. And they showed me Counterspell. Okay, so here's another Eidolon. Hopefully this one actually gets to survive. So they go down to 16. And what are we doing here? There is, in fact, a Chalice on 1. Okay, so that's actually pretty decent for us-ish, because remember, we played around the Chalice by putting the Wear and Tears in our deck. So if we see one, we can potentially clear out this Chalice. And I do still get to do this, because it costs just the 1, but it's a 3 converted mana cost spell still. So these 2 are locked out by the Chalice, which does suck. But honestly, all things considered, thick. I was going to say, all things considered, we're still mostly fine. And it looks like we were. So knowing now that the Chalices are a fact, not a question, I'm going to take out the Helixes and put in Smash of Smithereens as well. So the Wear and Tear was kind of, maybe they have it, maybe they don't, but now we definitely saw it. So we can feel a little bit safer putting in the... this is actually pretty decent. Even on a draw, I think this hand is fine. So Hallowed Fountain tapped. Okay. So here... Oh, there's the Roiling Vortex I asked for last time. That's actually pretty decent. So let's start off with the Goblin Guide and see if I can't walk this maybe into a Solitude. They show me to Fairy. Okay. Is this a pending? Yeah, it's a pending. That's fine. Actually, I don't mind the fact that they showed me pending because now I get to Roiling Vortex and hopefully it's a little bit safer because they use a spell that can remove Roiling Vortex here. If this is a Force Negation or a Spell Pierce, whatever, no. All right, Rolling Vortex resolving means really good things for a potential anti-Solitude plan down the road. If they have another Teferi and bounce this, then I'm sad about that. But yeah, okay. Oh, they ticked up, not down. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and Swift Spear, and I want to Lava Spike their face. So I'm going to choose Lava Spike over a Skewer the Critics line here because I do want to still dodge the Chalice while I'm able to. I don't want to necessarily walk myself into Chalice, so I'm going to get all the 1 CMC cards out of my hand while I have the ability to. They bounced a Roiling Vortex, which could mean a couple of things. They could just not want to deal with it and make me use the mana again, or they could be trying to actively walk me into something like a Solitude turn here. But I am still going to cast this because of the prowess anyway. I'm going to trigger my Swift Spear, go up a little bit here, see what happens to it. Looks like a counterspell of some sort. Jovin's Veto is in fact a counterspell of some sort. Understood. I am also going to bolt their face. I don't get to get cute with combat tricks here because of the Teferi, so I can't really do it like in response to anything, but a Flusterstorm's fine. Well, not fine, but it's going to happen, and I acknowledge that. And they crack a Flooded Strand. Okay. So no, I'm definitely not going to be paying for any of these Flusterstorm copies, but I am going to be attacking you for 3, so go down to 6. Looted Delta, Fairy takes up, and do I worry about a copy of Solitude? I think the answer is actually no. So I'm going to do it like this first. So casting the Boros Charm not only gives me prowess in case they don't actually have Solitude, but it makes my opponent choose between using mana to counter Boros Charm or using mana to be able to cast Solitude. Oh, it's just going to resolve. Okay, well, I'm going to try to Skewer the Critics then. And the Skewer the Critics resolves. Sick. So we win over blue-white control. Let's keep it going to the next round. All right, welcome to round 2. We are on the draw. Yikes. Well, 6 lands and not even a creature is not exactly what I wanted out of that. So we are, however, going to keep this hand. This one's pretty good. And this one is a little bit sketchy here, though, because I don't know whether my opponent's on a creature deck or not. So it could be that Searing Blaze is fantastic. It could also be that Searing Blaze is absolutely useless, and I don't know which it is until I see something from my opponent's deck. With that said, I think I'm actually going to put the Searing Blaze back and risk it. Actually, you know what? No, that's not true. I'm going to put back the Skewer the Critics, and here's why. My plan is already going to be to turn 1 Monastery Swift Spear and then choose between Searing Blaze or Eidolon on turn 2. Assuming I don't draw a land, my turn 3 would either be the other one of these or the Boros Charm, neither of which leaves room for Skewer the Critics. I need another land to make Skewer the Critics playable here. So I'm going to put back like that, and then assuming I don't draw a third land, I'll feel all nice and smart and thin for that. So a snow-covered island probably means that the Searing Blaze is going to be medium useless, but it could also just be Murktide Regent with, you know, a basic island instead of like a Steam Vents or a Spire Bluff Canal. Sitter? Okay, so that could very well be what ends up happening here, but let's find out. No covered island number 2, there's a Ledger Shredder, so it looks like our Searing Blaze, never mind. I was going to say our Searing Blaze was going to feel pretty good there, but I guess not. I am, however, still going to play my land, attack, and then if they block, I get to still use my Searing Blaze proactively here. So let's give ourselves the chance to do that. So they have to assume there's some kind of spell here. And maybe it's not the one they were expecting, but here's an Eidolon for your troubles then. So Misty Rainforest is especially good for me because they can't even have a basic mountain in their list to get with Misty Rainforest. Usually they don't play a basic mountain anyway, but knowing that it's a Misty instead of a Scalding Tarn 100% takes away that possibility. So if they want red, yeah, they have to just go ahead and shock like they just did. So that's going to be really good for me. A Murktide being a 5/5 is kind of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. So here I am potentially walking myself into a Spell Pierce, and I know that, but I'm still going to attack into this Murktide region to see if I can't get my Searing Blaze off. if they block the Eidolon, then I'll be really glad that I'm not casting this Lava Spike pre-combat. So let's see who they block. They block the Swift Spear. Okay. Nope. Yes. Okay. And I did play a land, so this is going to be able to do 3 and 3, assuming, of course, that it even resolves. And being 5 damage total, I get to trade with the Murktide Regent if it actually goes. But I got to dodge a Lightning Bolt or a Spell Pierce here, and they could just have either. So they do have the Lightning Bolt, and keeping it real, that is medium terrible still, but only medium terrible. So they still take this, go down to 8, and we're going to do a little bit of a life total trade, I think. I have a choice to make here. I can Lava Spike their face and take them down to 5 at the expense of me going down to 13. That also lets them connive. I think that's still right to do while they're tapped out. Oh, correction, I go to 12 because I have to pay 1. All right, so they're at 5. So that means that if they don't have a counterspell, or even if they do have a counterspell, then I get to go Borrow's Charm plus spell if I draw one. And you know what? That counts. That counts. I'm not going to be happy about potentially walking into another bolt here if they do have one, but I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't do nothing. I have to just like dodge another lightning bolt. Let's try it. Oh, that's not red. Oh no, they had the other bolt for my face. Ah, boo. Okay, unfortunate. So here I want the Path to Exiles. I want Sanctifier and Vec. And cards that I don't particularly want here include Skullcracks are not something I'm interested in. And I think Rift Bolt is the worst of my spells here. I want the Borrow's Charms, I want the Lightning Helixes, I want the Sanctifier and Vex because they can block Rags and keep red cards out of the graveyard, which is potentially useful for keeping Murktide Regent being uncastable. And then Path to Exile, of course, solves Murktide Regent as well. So let's try to play here. And this hand is, going back. Come on, not like this. Well, I think we're gonna go to 1 and 1, y'all. This is not doing the thing. Well, I guess I'm gonna start by Lava Spiking their face because it's the game action I'm allowed to take here. I could have held up Lightning Bolt for potential Rags, but I don't know that I'm really winning a game unless I'm being proactive here. And oh well, that's actually a pretty good start for me. Don't really want another Lava Spike. So choices to make. I can Lava Spike their face and really just hope to somehow dodge counter spells for the rest of the game. Or I can bolt this and just kind of cross my fingers. I mean, I'm already crossing my fingers, so I might as well take away some of their options while I'm able to, because I think that with the way my hand and lands are all set up, this game's going to go long, so I might as well take away the largest number of options I'm able to, even though realistically, this is not going to go well. Okay, so we do get another mountain, which is potentially decent, and I don't want to let them connive, so I'm going to play just the 1 Lava Spike here, and I can still bolt at the end of their turn. So I take 2, I go to 18, and I will bolt their face here. If they want to just use counter spells for these, then I already have to get them out of their hand. Yeah, that's fine. A Scalding Tarn is not actually a good draw, but it does help me dodge Spell Pierce. So there's a Darcy, and now their clock is actually respectable. They go from doing 2 points a turn to doing 5, and that's a pretty stark difference. However, sometimes we're just real good at this, so there's really no universe in which I actually see this resolving, but I'm going to give myself the chance to try. Yeah, I didn't think so. And there's a Spell Pierce that I was actually trying to dodge last time anyway. So here we're going to 10, and they just let us untap. So I am going to cast my Eidolon. Never mind. I'm off it. Let's just go to the next round. GG's opponent. All right, welcome to round 3. We are on the play. That's good. And our hand is on the ridiculously sketchy end of keepable against Gigantha. So let's keep this, and oh, this was 5, not 4 lands. Oh god, I thought I had one more spell that I did. Okay, never mind. This hand's worse than I thought it was. I don't know, can't count. They show me Rags. Okay, so they can play Rags. It's just like a blocker here. I really want to just draw a copy of Searing Blaze would be great then. Another Goblin Guide. That's not the Searing Blaze I asked for, but that is still pretty damn good. So let's get our attacks in, see what's revealed. Expressive Iteration, so we're doing Murktide again. And then here I'll just go ahead and suspend my friend Rift Bolt and see what they want to follow up with on this turn too. But remember last time we were even talking about how these decks don't play a basic mountain, but here we are, basic mountain, and there's a Ledger Shredder, so Oh, never mind. I was gonna say, so give me a spell, but they immediately have a Mishra's Bauble anyway, so no, that's not happening. Grape Shot. Okay, so this isn't Murktide. This is actually the Underworld Breach combo deck. So, actually, one of my boys posted about this video not too long ago. So if you are interested in any combo content, oh, right, I casted a stupid Rift Bolt earlier. Anyway, if you're interested in combo content with things like this, then look for Bryant Cook. He's really obnoxiously good with combo decks, and he played one with this deck on his live channel a few weeks ago. It was basically Jeskai Breach. It plays Teferi, it plays Underworld Breach as a Forex, Grape Shots to win condition, Prismatic Ending is fine, and there's a Rags as well. Okay, now to get to Connive. Although I don't think his list was playing Ledger Shredder. Now that I think about it, it probably should have been. Ledger Shredder was really good. So I guess I just get ready to take 4 to my dome here. So I'm not going to use the fetch here. I am going to bolt the Rags. Okay, that's allowed. Cool. And they show me a Consider. So they go down to 9, and I play my Sunbaked Canyon. Now that I have 4 lands in play, I don't mind using the Sunbaked Canyons to start drawing cards. Obviously, I need cards anyway. There's an EI. That's not a great start for me. To be fair, we did know they had the EI. They revealed it off of the first Goblin Guy trigger. I have to imagine they're done attacking, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So now we're going to go ahead and draw a card. It's a Lava Spike, which is probably a pretty good draw, actually. Not walking into any traps by casting this Lava Spike, so let's do that. They go to 6. I'm not going to cast this Goblin Guy because I don't want them to connive. And let's just pass the turn using the Sunbaked Canyon again. And them going to 5 is potentially really good for us. So them fetching and going to 5... The reason I say that that's potentially really good for us, it means that Teferi's actually fine here. It means that if I draw any kind of spell here, then I get to Goblin Guide, attack with both, and then resolve a 3 mana spell for the win. So I'm going to give myself a chance to draw a 3 mana spell at the end of turn with the Sunbaked Canyon. Any of Lightning Bolt, literally anything that does 3 damage, as long as I'm able to cast it, will end up being lethal with these 2 Goblin Guides, even though I'm letting them connive. Remember that we saw Gigantha, so there's no chance of them having Force of Negation. So I want a Lava Spike, a Lightning Bolt, anything other than like a Rift Bolt that I can't cast. A Searing Blaze will do it. Not without a land, it won't. That actually means I think the better play here is just this then. So using the Eidolon gives me the ability to deny them spells, which is just super key against this deck. And them being at 5 still means that they don't really get to attack. They know I can just double Goblin Guide next turn. If they want to get rid of this Eidolon here, then they have to use a spell to do so, which is great. It's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't scenarios. Obviously, I like that. Unholy Heat. Okay, that's fine. So the Unholy Heat's going to take them all the way down to 3, which is super good for me. Now this means that if my Searing Blaze resolves, they just lose the game. And Underworld Breach, uh-oh. They have Mishra's Bauble, so they can draw like a million cards right now. They cannot kill me even with another land drop. I had to stop and think about that because I'm like, wait a minute. If they Lightning Bolt me 3 times, yeah, I don't think they have anywhere near the storm count to actually be able to kill me with that Grape Shot in their graveyard. So I think we're still okay. But this is going to be one of those situations where that Eidolon would have looked really good had it survived. Now they can't, like, loop 4,000 cards without taking 2 for each time they choose to do that. But here, I do really want a land drop so I can safely go Goblin Guide and Searing Blaze. But I'll still be really happy, of course, if the Searing Blaze itself resolves. Storm is 5, and they can Mishra's Bauble once more if they also have mana and something else to do before Grape Shotting, or they can just Grape Shot me for 6 and attack for 5, but that's only 11 and I'm at 16, so that's not a danger. Okay, and I am being Grape Shotted for 6, so they can attack me down from 5, and after they attack for 5 I can go 2-5, but that's not good enough, luckily. Yeah, okay, so I'm probably gonna get a concede button after this then. Which is cool. I do get to Ancestral Recall though, which is kind of lit for just them. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my Mountain here, and let's Searing Blaze the face and the Shredder. Go away, Master Shredder. All right, so we're up a game against Jeskai. Against them, I want I haven't seen whether they are the grinding station version of this deck yet, so I'm only going to put in Wear and Tears. I am not going to put in the other spell, Smash of Smithereens. And I'm going to put in Whirling Vortex too. Mishra's Bauble is 0 mana, but also if it comes up, so is Mox Amber, and we don't know whether they're playing Emery and on top of Eidolon or not, or I'm sorry, Emery on top of Ragavan or not. So this is what we're going to do in this match here, and let's see if that ends up being good enough against this really powerful combo deck. Okay, this hand's actively pretty good, so let's keep it. And this does a lot, right? Like the wear half of Wear and Tear can get rid of Urza's Saga should it come up. I've got a Goblin Guide for turn 1 and a Searing Blaze for turn 2. So we've got a lot of action possible here. Obviously, I hope this is Darcy instead of... Oh, thank God. I was going to say, I hope this is Darcy instead of Rags, since Darcy can't trade with Goblin Guide, but Rags could have. They showed me a Rags. Okay. So now if they want to dash Rags, that's an option. If they want to simply play Rags and try to block with it, that is also an option. Either way, I'm Searing Blazing something. 14. Okay, looks like this is getting dashed. So they can, what, maybe pull a lightning bolt off the top? Whoa, they're attacking with Darcy? Oh no! Oh, Andre, don't speak things into existence. Whoops. Well, it's on me for speaking it into existence. Alright, so we pull another Inspiring Vantage, which is actively pretty decent. So let's go ahead and get rid of Darcy while the getting's good here. And they can just go ahead and dash Rags on me again, but they're already at 11, so like, I'm not the saddest about this. Yeah, and that's honestly still better for me probably than just like play Expressive Iteration, play undashed Rags. Like them dashing Rags is probably better for me anyway. I did actually want the fetch land because I still want to be able to use the Searing Blaze on their turn for a dashed Rags maybe next turn. Another Darcy can die to this Searing Blaze though. Okay, I'm in for killing more Darcys. So if Darcy manages to make it to next turn with the Mishra's Bauble, she will be a 4-4 or a 3-3 because she'll have 4 types. But my intention here is to not let her do anything productive. So let's go ahead and cast this Swift Spear that we just drew, because that's a nice draw. And I am going to just jam. If they have a Spell Pierce or a Flusterstorm, then whatever, you got me. Oh no. Do you actually? Oh, they totally do. Oh, it's a Lightning Bolt. That's fine. That's fine. As long as Darcy dies in a fire and they take damage, I'm more okay with that than not. So they're going to go to 5 here. My Boros Charm does 4, which actually means that they cannot fetch safely. So they can start like just using treasures instead of fetch lands for mana, and that's a very real consideration. But so far, I'm fairly okay with this. I actually did want that Sunbaked Canyon too, though. What's this? A Shredder? Oh, it's an EI. So EI gets Spire Bluff Canal, which doesn't actually do anything to save them. We see Gigantha once again, so there's still no danger of Force of Negation. Oh, hooray. Well, now that we know there's no Force of Negation because Gigantha's revealed, I know that we're safe to just kill him. Pew pew pew. All right, we are 2-1. Let's keep it going, y'all. All right, we are on round 4 against Demonic Tutors. Nice. So Demonic Tutors is actually a homie. He's from the same area I'm from, and he typically plays a lot of Yawgmoth, but here we see a Kahira, so it's probably blue-white. He's got a pretty wide range. He just happens to be known for Yawgmoth in Modern. So, oh, that's good. So it's actually pretty funny, because right now, as of recording, it's almost 4 in the morning, and we're both up and playing Magic for some ungodly reason. So I decided to mess with him, saying, you know, early morning for you too, but it is not an early morning. It's late night for him. So that's kind of hilarious. So we see Rogan Triumph in Plains. So I'm just going to jam this Eidolon down his throat and see what happens. All right, sick. So the Eidolon did resolve and it got to untap. So that actually means, oh no, did he get stuck? Oh man, poor guy. Sorry, buddy. Well, I'm just going to do this then. And I could have bolted first, but I do want to keep the land in play uncracked on the off chance that there's a creature coming down the road at some point. Okay, so there's a Solitude. Okay, so now that I've seen Solitude with the Kira, oh geez, not like this, buddy. All right, let's get our attacks in and do our best to put the homie out of his misery, I guess. Poor guy. All right, yeah. Must not have drawn a land for the turn. He is totally off of it. All right, so once again, we are looking at control. So I'm going to Roiling Vortex, and I'm going to Wear and Tear, and we're going to take out these Searing Blazes. And we're doing the exact same thing as we did last time because we don't know whether Ed is playing copies of Chalice of the Void or not, but I can assume there are probably copies of Chalice, so I'm going to put those in. The Wear and Tears, however, play around a few more things than a Smash of Smithereens does. So let's see if this go-round goes a little bit better for him. So this one's a little sketchy. I don't like creatureless hands, but I do have a functional hand, and he's mulling to 6, so I will keep this. I fully acknowledge that I do not actually like this hand. It just happens to do the thing, and is more likely to do the thing since he's taking a mulligan. Or you're watching the channel that you're watching, and I just never don't have it, right? That is generally how things work around here. Jeez. All right. So a thing that I know that I am potentially walking into as well, since I have a Rift Bolt, I actually am not going to suspend this, knowing that he can just jam Teferi on turn 3. So what I'm going to do is actually Lava Spike and then Skewer the Critics pre-combat to get my prowess in, but not walk into Teferi at the same time. If I have to Rift Bolt for 3 mana down the road, that's still better than getting it countered by Teferi. Speaking of counters, yeah, let's get an attack in. So here I'm just going to attack and then skewer post-combat. I'm not going to try to get cute with the Rift Bolt. Okay, so he fetches down to 12. And what is this? Is that the Teferi? Oh, he's buying Kahira. Okay, that means that there's potentially a Solitude coming at this. I'm actually just going to Skullcrack now. I want to get my Prowess trigger in, and if there is not actually a Solitude in hand, then I'll feel a lot better about getting my attack for 2 in. If there is a Solitude, then so be it. But there's not. Okay. A 4th land? Is this a Supreme Verdict? Oh, it's a Wandering Emperor. Phew. I'm like, buddy, no, not like this. All right, so he's going to go up to 7. And a Lightning Bolt is pretty decent. I'm going to suspend one of these. And I'm going to try to bolt now. All right, so he's at 4. So this means that if he wants to Teferi and does not have a land, then he has to take down his land. Oh, and there's no fairy anyway. So let's point that at you, take you down to 1. That smells like a Force of Negation. Archmage's Charm. All right, I'm going to try it. Is there a Force of Negation or a Spell Pierce? Nope, he says GG's in the chat. Oh, sounds like Ed might have an option. What does that do? That says other creatures. That says, oh, he has 2 Solitudes. Oh, that's hilarious. So he's going to use 1 Solitude to exile the other, gain 3. Oh, that's okay. That's a line. Okay, I am not mad at it. I'm going to suspend my Rift Bolt here because I have the Skullcrack anyway. So, oh, that's okay. Oh, Ed. No, he goes, he says, I'm sorry. I'm like, why sorry? That was a really cool line. Like, and it kept him alive for a turn. So I do have the Skullcrack. So I'm still going to end up winning here, but just, but still, that's actually a pretty good point to bring up. It's pretty sweet to just know what outs you have, even if they're really unintuitive and kind of crappy lines to survive a game. Stuff like having the Solitude, and with the Evoke trigger on the stack, Solitude your own creature. Just, it's kind of a chef's kiss as far as really bad ways to survive a games go. But either way, GG to the homie. Better luck for him next time. And let's move on to the last round. Let's see if we can 4-1. All right, 5th and final round here. I've got on the draw, no creatures. This hand is very technically functional, but I'll be honest, I kind of hate it, so it's going back. This is much better. So here, the putback is one of these 2 Lava Spikes. I want to keep all 3 of these creatures. And let's find out what our opponent is playing. Team Vents into Darcy. Okay, so we're doing this again. So here I'm going to Inspiring Vantage and Swift Spirius. Oh, I just realized I have a whole Goblin Guide in my hand. Whoops. Well, remember that point about playing at 4 in the morning. Maybe don't do that to yourselves, people. And there's Darcy number 2, Steam Vents. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't get to follow up with a really cool Searing Blaze, but I do get an attack in, and I get to post-combat cast Eidolon, which is pretty good considering that they haven't actually started putting cards in their graveyard yet. So I am going to jam this Eidolon down their throat, and now if they want to start fueling the Dragon's Rage Channelers, they have to start deciding between maybe bolting this. Oh my god, they're casting Inexpressive. That is usually incredibly good for me. Okay, but whatever the card on top is, they wanted to keep it. So, okay, they have land Unholy Heat. So they're going to take this, go down to 10, and surveil a Consider, surveil another EI. So this is still just going to be a... Oh, never mind. They also have Mishra's Bauble. Bell Snare in the year of our Lord 2023. All right, opponent, I see you. Well, I'm going to go down to 13 here. They draw a card. I have a Skullcrack that I honestly don't really care about. So I am still going to cast my spells, though. So let's go ahead and Goblin Guide. And I am going to cast you for Prowess. And then attack for 4, go down to 3, which, conveniently enough, is how much my Lava Spike does. I see an Otawara. Okay. So they have to attack me with these Darcys. And I'm really hoping to just dodge double Lightning Bolt as their 2 cards here. A Searing Blaze is also incredibly good. So let's, since I have a Monastery Swiftspear, I'm pretty comfortable with just jamming spells down their throat. Because this way, if they have Counterspell for Lava Spike and Counterspell for Searing Blaze and a Lightning Bolt for something, I'm still going to be able to do the things I want. So now I get to target this, target one of your Darcys, and this is going to be 3 and 3 since I did play the Mountain first. I guess they could also have Spell Pierce on top of all of this too, and that would take them down to 1, and then I would die on a Crackback. No, they had the Spell Pierce too? Come on! Oh, fine. Jeez, they had everything. All right, enough complaining. Let's put cards in our deck. I was feeling like such a good post-mulligan hand too. I'm so mad. All right, let's be on the play this time. And our hand is actually pretty good. So I'm pretty happy about this hand. I get to turn 1 Swiftspear, turn 2 Sanctifier, and I do have to take a boatload of damage to do so, but as long as I get the start I want here, then I'm pretty okay with that. Because being on the play, my start is going to end up being a lot better than theirs typically gets to be. So Mishra's Bauble, that means there's likely a fetch land coming. There it is. And they do not want the card that's on top of their deck. So what happens here? Another Bauble. And that's actually pretty good of them to get out all their baubles before I get to play this Eidolon, because I definitely have it. It's coming. And a basic mountain is actually really good because of my Searing Blaze, so I get to just do this. So now if they go a Ledger Shredder with the next turn, I can just untap, make a land drop, and then Searing Blaze pretty happily. And the Arid Mesa can put a tapped Sacred Foundry in play so that I don't have to take 2 more damage for casting that. But it looks like we're just going to Steam Fence. Are we also removal spelling? Maybe not. I'm still going to cast this, though. I can't just have my creatures, you know, not doing damage. That's kind of their entire job. Okay, so Lightning Bolt. They take 2 for the Lightning Bolt, and they're going to take 1 and go to 13 here. But I am going to get the Sacred Foundry now, because taking these 2 copies of Lightning Bolt out of their graveyard means that they don't get to cast their Murktide Regent if they have one. Lightning Bolt's actually a pretty decent draw. Let's go ahead and get ready to swing in their general direction here. Boop, boop. And I will cast my bolt at their face so I can get my prowess trigger. Ooh, it resolved. Nice. Now do my creatures live? Aether Gust. I think I want to put that on the top of my deck. Let's think about that. So I have Fiery Islet, so I get to redraw it, but I need another land anyway to make Searing Blaze worth my time. I actually think that's still fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So they go to 8, and they can play, what, a 4/4 Murktide Regent here with only 1 spell being in their yard unless they have a Consider, which they do. Fluster, okay, so now a Murktide Regent potentially can be a 6/6. So if that's what they have, then... Oh, there's an EI. Okay, it's pretty scary. So, like, they can find a fetch land or something still. So there's still plenty of options is what my opponent's telling me here. Okay, so there's an island... and not a Murktide, which is great, because Murktide is kind of the last thing I want to see. I've got a lovely little pro-red creature here. Oh, that's good. So now I get to potentially put up a crap ton of attackers. Counterspell, you got it. Now I get to play the spell I actually want to resolve. They reveal Spell Snare. Oh no! Alright, so the Spell Snare can hit my Searing Blaze, which is potentially sad times. Expressive, okay. Hey, opponent, Spell Snare your own expressive for me, don't you? Can you do that, please? One time. Spire Bluff tapped. That doesn't really matter. So let's draw an actual spell, please. You know what? I'm going to count that as an actual spell. So here they can go ahead, let Goblin Guy trigger resolve, bolt it with something, go down to 1. Yep. And then I'm just going to get to resolve my lovely little Eidolon here. Hopefully they don't have a Spell Snare actually in hand too. Oh my god, they play more than 1? Yo! Or was that last turn? Oh, that was last turn. Never mind. I knew they had that then. Okay. I guess that's fine then. For some reason I thought that I had revealed the Spell Snare this turn and not last turn. So that's actually on me for forgetting. Another Spire Bluff Canal. And it looks like we're resolving a giant Murktide region finally. Okay, so it's a full-size 8/8. So now give me another spell. Another spell that costed 1. You know what? Screw it. We're still going to try it. So let's see if there's a Spell Pierce or a Spell Snare again or something. Hopefully not, but... And there's a Spell Pierce. Okay. Alright. Let's play a wonderful game called How Bad Could This Possibly Be? Okay, I was going to say I'm pretty sure they can't attack. Rags doesn't do anything. A land dodges Spell Pierce. Okay. I'll try to dodge Spell Pierce. Hopefully they don't have another Spell Snare or an actual counterspell. They play more than 1 Spell Snare. Okay. Alright, I'm willing to go to 11. Let's get another mountain out of our deck here. Just a little thinning. Eidolon. That's sketchy. I think I do cast it though. If it resolves, it locks them out of almost every spell in their deck. Okay. And what I'm hoping to do here is really just kind of wear them out of counter spells until they're just like dying to something. I would also like to not draw another useless creature. So if I draw like a Goblin Guide or, oh no, oh, they must have drawn a Bolt. So now I'm going to 8. I'm sorry, I'm taking 8. A Ledger Shredder, okay. Spell. Well, I don't have a choice but to try it, because I'm going to die if I don't try it, so let's try it. Hopefully this last card isn't yet another counterspell. Oh, hooray, it wasn't. Phew, scary. What do I want to change being on the draw? I think the answer is nothing. So I'm simply going to keep this configuration as it is. I actually am going to keep this. Opponent's mulliganing. My hand is relatively reasonable, provided I draw a land. And there's a Darcy. Okay. They have a Mishra's Bauble following up, which actually tells me they don't have a Ledger Shredder currently in hand. A Sunbaked Canyon. Never didn't have it, y'all. Never once in the history of Magic the Gathering did we not have it. So let's cast my creature, get in some chip damage with it while I'm able to, and my opponent's going to be drawing up to 5 cards in hand total when they consider the Mishra's Bauble in their draw step. So let's see what they find. I'm currently hoping they don't have exactly Ledger Shredder plus another Mishra's Bauble. If they do, then I'm supremely sad. Unholy Heat for my Swiftspear. That makes me also sad, but much less so. A Sunbaked Canyon, so I have another land drop, and that is probably another one of those silly spell snares we saw last time. So let's suspend this first, and then spike their face. If it's a Spell Pierce, it's not. Okay, I was gonna say, so if it's a Spell Pierce, then I'll be glad to get out of their hand, but it wasn't. And here I kind of choose between using my Rift Bolt and targeting the Darcy, which is a high possibility, or choosing to target their face. They pitch an EI, which means there's probably a stupid Murktide coming this turn. Oh, thank God there's not. Okay, well, that's nice. So I'm going to try to kill this thing, and they want to Aether Gust, so I'm going to Helix this. So I get to gain 3, which is super nice. I should have let the Surveil resolve. Whoops. Rift Bolt can go on the bottom, and we draw a Bolt. I think that's actually pretty decent for us. They have 2 cards in hand. I'm going to Bolt now, and make them choose between counterspelling this Lightning Bolt and being able to cast the Murktide region if they have one. Expressive usually means that they don't have to choose anything. They can just do all of the things since they get to draw all of the cards. Misty Rainforest. A Swiftspear. That's really good for me. Potentially. Let's see what happens here. A basic island and a counterspell, which means I'm going to take my chance to resolve this at their face then. I also need to take notice here, they have fetched for 3 basic islands in a row, which means I also could be looking at a Blood Moon draw. That's something I want to pay attention to. So they're at 7. Does my Goblin Guide resolve? That's a good start. Now does it live? They reveal Counterspell. Gross. Aether Gust, so it does not live. But knowing that they have Counterspell, I'm going to try to resolve this now while the Gitten is at least kind of good. If they have another one, then they have the Spell Snare, okay. I want to put this on top of the deck. Yeah, I think I actually like casting the Goblin Guide next turn here, because I know that their draw step is the counterspell. So if they just want to counterspell this Goblin Guide, then so be it. Yeah, and they're down to one card in hand, so unless that card is, I don't know, like another expressive or something, then I'll be pretty happy to pitch one of these at the end of turn and at least give myself a chance to fight. That wasn't great. That actually kind of was. So I'm gonna, yeah, let's just try to, actually, what am I doing? I'm gonna open myself up to a Boros Charm draw, I think. I think that's better. I mean, not so much if it doesn't resolve, but the idea was there, and these spell snares are fucking me up. And we're not going to play the Sacred Foundry because I do want to be able to draw a copy of Searing Blaze. Okay, let's correct that. Now I need to draw a copy of Searing Blaze. Arid Mace is not quite the Searing Blaze I was asking for. Oh man. So I got to do this now if I want to do it. So if I do this and I draw exactly a bolt, I can kill one of these. I should probably be a little more specific. Oh, you're late. Oh, all right. GG's opponent. So it looks like we're going to go 3-2 today. All right. And that was pretty fun. So we got a sweet little 3-2 out of it. And we did lose to Murktide region twice, which is kind of to be expected sometimes. Murktide is the best deck in all of Modern for a reason. So I'm not exactly sad about losing to that deck. And round 5 was really close. Like, a lot had to happen in that matchup. And it was a pretty tight series there. So I think the deck performed pretty well, and there's a reason that it's generally in the top 10 for the most played decks in all of Modern. So I like this thing. It was pretty fun times, and we didn't really face a super wide range of decks, even though Modern is a fairly wide open format. But sometimes them's just the breaks, right? Like sometimes there's 50 different decks in Modern, and you find all kinds of stuff from like Merfolk to spirits to Murktide region, and you just never know what you're gonna do. But sometimes you just play Murktide twice and blue-white control twice, and you just have a somewhat stale meta within your 5 matches. So it kind of is what it is. But once again, give Demonic Tutors a shout out on Twitch if you ever catch him on. I'll put a link to his Twitch channel right in the video description too, because he's a cool dude. But that's gonna be it for today's video. Great times overall playing Burn. If you like what you're watching, make sure to click like, let me know, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see y'all on the next one.